I guess I'll just do a quick. So, do we have Wyoming, Montana?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Wyoming's here as well.
How about Boise?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so it sounds like, all right, that's good. So it sounds like we got all the offices. So I won't go around and waste a lot of time. I actually want to make this one pretty short. And to be totally honest, it's because I'm the least prepared for this call that I've been of any of the other calls. We've been super busy with a couple of things. There's obviously a big strategic planning and the whole budgeting process that's going on, and it's extremely complicated this year because of the number of entities and organizations that are involved. So that's been taking a lot of my time. The other thing is that we are pretty close, and I think I can now talk about it. We're pretty close to acquiring Northwest Pharmacy in Spokane, which has been in bankruptcy for about 3 months or 4 months or so. So Tim Ippolito from our Spokane office has been working closely with me on that. He's been meeting with the team, going out meeting with the clients. I've got some meetings set up with the clients. They have probably, their current location is literally probably the best looking pharmacy I've ever been in my life. And you know, they just really, really went over the top in terms of organization and technology and everything else that they have in the pharmacy. Unfortunately, for one reason or another, you know, they took on a lot of debt and they had a lot of problems. They've lost a bunch of clients over the past 3 or 4 months. I think we're going to be able to put a stop to that. You know, we're making a really very good deal for the company. And the way I envision it is essentially for the next 6 months or so, we're going to leave them alone completely. They're on frameworks. We're going to leave them alone. They are, you know, they use DocuTrack, and they use, I mean, really great technology. We're going to leave them alone while the rest of the company goes through what it's doing, which is the conversion to QS1 in Washington, and then the conversion to QS1 in Oregon. The good news is once we go through the conversion here in Portland, from frameworks to QS1, we will learn a lot about how that goes. And so my vision is that probably sometime in the you know, July, August timeframe, we would start the conversion for Spokane. At that point, you can imagine we've got a pretty good hub and spoke strategy at that point. We've got Vancouver with very significant cycle production capabilities, and then we've got everything from the Seattle area to Boise, to Spokane, and Portland, being able to distribute throughout those regions. So I think we're setting the basis for really having a very, very dominant presence in the Pacific Northwest and being able to leverage the assets that we're putting into place. So that's the update on that. But again, I apologize because I've been very busy on that. So what I'd like to do is very quickly, I'm not sure if Aaron Weber's on or if Matt Keith is on, but quick update from last time. You know, on the last call, we went pretty in depth on the use of project plans, the use of action plans for particular things to really get things done. One of my frustrations, which will go right into the theme of this particular call, one of my frustrations is that I feel like there's various parts of the company where things just kind of grind to a halt and we start spinning our wheels. We just don't move the ball forward fast enough. You know, I'm not shy about, you know, raising the issues where I see them, and I think a lot of you guys have sort of sensed that that frustration. So that was the reason why I wanted to really focus on this whole idea of getting things done. How do you get things from starting point to finish point? And so what I'm hoping, has there been any action plans or project plans that were started as a result of our last call? Can anyone kind of talk about anything that has been done leveraging that and leveraging the systems, the process, as well as the expertise and the personnel that we have? Go ahead. You've done it?
Yeah, I've done a project plan for dosage, you know, putting dailies in cycles.
Okay, so here in Portland, we're going to be using the DOSIS machines. There's the 2 DOSIS automation machines, and we're transferring the dailies, shifting the dailies to be produced in those DOSIS machines. So we've got one here. Anything in Alaska or anywhere else?
Dan, this is Renee. Aaron actually did a project plan on the DBA change that we're working on right now.
Okay. For Spokane or for everyone?
Yes,
In
everyone.
Seattle, we started one for converting the care partners over to QS1.
Great. That's Chris?
This is Chris.
Fantastic. Okay.
Hey, Dan, this is Lynette, and I'm actually doing one in Med Records for my team, and it's just breaking down our conversion into, you know, the 5 necessary pieces and what we need to have done before each stage of the conversion, and so far it's working really well.
Okay. Great.
Fast track. No, this is Reed. We built one for fast tracking Idaho conversion into QS1.
Okay. So that's great. I mean, I can't tell you guys how happy I am to hear that, because what the project plan does is it's a couple of things. First of all, it makes you really think through, you know, the different parts of it. Make sure that you're not, you know, you're not forgetting a key component. But really, more importantly, it keeps ourselves and the other people involved accountable, right? So it's very easy then to see if we're falling behind. As Matt Keith said, and as Aaron said, you know, really the discipline of not changing the dates unless you absolutely have to, unless you run into something that's unpredictable. Sticking to those dates and really being able to report back against those dates is really, really critical. We've got a lot of moving pieces in the company right now, especially in the Pacific Northwest. We've got centralization going on. We've got conversions going on. We've got construction going on. We've got process improvement and process consolidation. Armando's here. We're in the process of looking at the logistics teams between Portland and Vancouver and how they can work together to optimize our deliveries. These things are complicated, and unless we take a disciplined approach to it, we can't get them done, right? And so part of what I'm trying to do is expose this team, just like I get exposed to things, and I'll talk a little bit about that, expose this team to proven methods, right? I mean, these are not things that we're inventing here. These are proven methods that perhaps people have not gotten used to or been exposed to before. So I think I really encourage you guys to leverage the resources we have. We've got with Erin Weber in Anchorage, she is a tremendous resource in helping you guys if there are projects that you want to take on to help you with that. So that's great. Very good. Very glad to hear that. Tana, I don't know if you guys are on. Do you? I know you and I talked briefly yesterday. Is there anything that you guys have that you want to talk about?
No, just a reminder that we've got about 20-some folks interested in the Emotional Intelligence Book Club. We're breaking it up into 3 discussions over the course of January, February, March. You should have gotten the GoToMeeting invite. There's a few more that want to join, so just go ahead and let your HR rep know, either Bridget, Lisa, or Becca, and we'll get you taken care of. And then the first meeting, you'll just want to read through page 95 and complete the assessment in the back of the book. It's an orange envelope that you'll cut open, and you have a code, and it'll give you a survey results on your emotional intelligence score. So really looking forward to it. We've had a book club here internally for 2 years, and it gets some great discussion, great learning, and a good cross-team opportunity to get to know people differently that you don't interact with daily. So really looking forward to it.
I mean, that's actually a really good point. I mean, so there's actually a secondary benefit to this, which is really bringing people together more closely and getting to know people on a whole other level.
Exactly.
So I don't know if anyone here has signed up for it. I really, a lot of these things, I'll be the first one to admit, a lot of these things sound hokey and sound, sort of, real soft. But again, these are things that work, right? These are things that great companies take a proactive approach to developing their teams, and I think this is a critical part. Xanium is a tremendous resource in regards to the development of our team, and so I really encourage you guys to get involved with that. This will be just the first one, and after that, really they're modeling. Obviously, Tana's modeling the process after what they've already done in Xanium. Anything else relative to? Are all the issues relative to benefits and things like that? Those are all covered. Everyone knows what's going on.
I will just let everybody know that I'm working with Jim and the HR representatives at each location to do ACA reporting. So as part of healthcare reform, we're having to do some annual reporting, and just want you to know that behind the scenes, we're working on that. Employees will need to get a form like the W-2 by the end of January, and Xenium will be handling that. It's called a 1095-C. So in case you get something in the mail or employees have questions, they're going to get a form similar to the W-2 that gets sent to the IRS to show that they've been offered affordable health care coverage as part of the health care reform requirement. So I just wanted to give you managers and supervisors a heads up that that's coming, and that we're working behind the scenes with Jim, Bridget, Lisa, and Becca to get what we need completed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And one of the things that we've been talking about is Tana and I are working on kind of looking at globally at the health benefit plans and all the benefits. At some point in the future, we're going to have to consolidate all the benefits around the company. It's an extremely complicated process. So no two plans are the same, but what we've tried to do as much as possible is to keep the teams that have joined us on the same plans that they've had. But eventually, over time, and Tana, I have no idea when that realistically can happen. Whether that's are we talking?
So we're meeting with the broker. Yeah, we're meeting with the broker quarterly to look at performance, or just look at the loss ratio for the group. Looking at creative strategies to consolidate and get maximum value for the offerings, meeting everybody's needs as best as we can. So I think at the 6-month mark, we'll have a better idea where we're at, what the options may look like. But I don't know if anything's going to be super feasible before the 8/1 renewal. But we'll get renewal information about 90 days out, so that'll be May 1st. So we can keep everybody updated as we hit that 6-month review of the year, or the year to date.
Right. Okay. So in other words, we need data so that the insurance companies can actually give us a proper quote. So that's it.
Yep, and the census information, all that. Yep.
Anything else?
Not from my perspective. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me. Checking in again on hiring thing for you managers that are hiring. How's it working for you guys?
Any issues or complaints? I will tell you, actually, Tana, I saw Ann Donovan, who's the CEO of Xenium, I saw her last night at an event, and I was telling her, Paul came to us, our new regional vice president for operations for this region. It's really interesting because initially I thought, when he initially approached us about his interest in that position, I didn't really know where that interest came from. And then after talking to him, I realized it was because the hiring thing automatically posts to certain locations, and that's how he had seen it. So from my perspective, you look at our ability to define the kinds of people we want on the team, and putting some effort behind it ourselves. I think that's a far better way to go than kind of the lazy way of just going out and hiring a recruiter and paying a whole bunch of fees, and then you're letting someone else make that decision for you. So I think that's what we were able to accomplish for that position with Paul is a prime example of kind of taking control of that process ourselves. So I really do encourage, I've talked about this before, I really do encourage the managers, when there are open positions, I was so happy I got an email last night from Alaska saying, hey, we've interviewed someone for a position. She's way overqualified for that position, but this is the kind of person we don't want to let go. We got to find a home for them. So, and I said, yep, definitely, keep her very engaged while I think through the various positions. We've got to take a really proactive approach to adding quality people to our team. This just can't be something that's sort of handed off to Xenium and hope that Xenium does a good job. So as hiring managers, it's very important that people are focused on that and engaged with that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to jump into my presentation. I went back to the quote, and I'll tell you guys why I chose this theme, the theme for today, which is the No Complaint Challenge. And I went back, and the quote that I had used from a couple of calls ago, which was one of the quotes that Stephen Covey had on control. And really, I call it, Covey on control. And really what what it's saying, it's our willing permission, our consent to what happens to us that hurts us far more than what happened to us in the first place. So really what this is talking about is it's control, our control over the way we feel, the way we think about things, how we react to situations, and as opposed to just what actually happened. It's how we deal with it. And so this is a critical part of being a proactive person and being a proactive manager, is really trying to take control over the situation, and not just that, but taking control over the way you feel about that situation. So that really feeds into my theme for today. Let me ask you this. Does anyone on the call know what this is? Has anyone seen this? Okay. So what this is, it's very interesting. I'll tell you kind of quick story. As I said, as I look around the company, one of the things I found myself doing, and it's really important for you guys to understand, I'm not sitting up here kind of talking from a pedestal, talking down at the team. What I'm talking about is things that I struggle with myself, and I try to take a proactive approach in addressing. So one of the things that I realized over the past couple of months is that I was doing a lot of complaining. And I was complaining about because things weren't moving as fast as I wanted them to. I was complaining because things had gone wrong and not the way we wanted them to go. I was complaining of the most worthless one of them is I was complaining about the coming changes with Medicare and Medicaid and how it's going to impact our business. And what I realized is there's no benefit that comes out of that, right? So I can sit here and complain all I want about, I can't believe Medicare is slashing HME, DME reimbursement rates like they are. I can't believe, Caremark has created this new MAC list that's just crushing our revenues in certain parts. I complain all day long, to you guys, to myself, to my wife, and it doesn't solve anything, right? So I really started thinking about this, and I came across, I was doing some reading about it, and I came across this thing called the No Complaint Challenge. And, my first reaction was, okay, that's hokey. You got the bracelets, you wear a bracelet, no complaints. But the more I looked into it and the more I've tried to adopt it myself for the past, month or so, the more I've realized its impact. And so what this is, it's an organization that was created by a pastor in Kansas City. His name is Will Bowen. And what he did was he sort of started out with his congregation, and he said, look, I hear people complain about stuff, complain about their family, complain about their kids, and I've had enough. So you guys need to take control over your lives. So he came up with this idea of creating this. He actually created a nonprofit called the complaintfreeworld.org. He created these bracelets, and he started giving them out. And the challenge that he created, now his is much more comprehensive than mine, because it's got, his includes no profanity and a whole bunch of other stuff that I just won't even challenge myself with to do. But effectively, the concept is still the same. And the concept is you put this on your wrist, you put the bracelet on your wrist, and you consciously try not to complain. And if you hear yourself complain, and then you can define complaint however you want. So I define a complaint as something that I say, or some negative thought, or and I actually have the threshold. I allow myself to complain in my head. I don't allow myself now to complain verbally. So that's where I drew my line, because I think it's too hard to complain what's in your head. I mean, to control what's in your head. So I've tried to limit it to what I say, at least for now, until I get better at it. And you effectively, if you catch yourself complaining, and in my world, a complaint is something where I'm actually complaining without giving a solution. Now, my wife, who's become the complaint cop at home, I make statements like, my God, I can't believe it's raining again, or, the backyard's a total mess, and, she says, well, are you complaining? And then I go, yeah, you're right. Okay, that was a complaint, because I'm not offering a solution to the problem. So if my test is, if I'm offering a solution to that problem, then that's not a complaint. But if I'm sitting here saying, I cannot believe what Medicare is doing to us with the reimbursements, then that's a complaint. So if you catch yourself complaining in the first 21 days, you got to take it off, put it on the other wrist, and start all over again. So you start at zero again. So I've needless to say, I've caught myself many times. I've switched wrists, but here's the key. the concept is that this is always on my mind now, right? And it's always, it's really front of mind now. And it has given me the ability, as soon as I start to actually even think about saying something, I remember it. I remember that I've got this thing on my wrist. And it really has created a much more positive approach for me in terms of dealing with the problems that come up and the issues that come up. So I thought that, so my thought around the theme for this month was really this, because this was front of mind to me. And then last night, I went to an incredible event, and it really fits so well into this. I was at an event called Dining in the Dark. I don't know if does anyone know what that is? So I'm seeing some nods here. I don't know if people on the phone know what it is, but this was a group. There's probably about 50 of us or so, and it was a big event. And what it is it's a nonprofit actually that organizes this, nonprofit for the blind. And what they do is you go into a room, and they've prepared this room and they make everyone turn their phones off, take off their watches, anything that can reflect. And it is absolutely pitch dark. I mean, I literally have never experienced anything so dark in my life. And so you walk in, and they've got these hosts who are blind themselves and who lead you to your table. And effectively, you got to sit down, and you end up having a full dinner and follow-on conversations and everything else in this completely, utterly black room. And your eyes never get used to it. You just don't see anything. And so the amazing thing, how it fit with this idea was, you realize, my God, you reach over, you knock over a glass of wine, and you're like, oh my God, and then you got to figure out where the wine bottle even is to put some more wine in, and all this stuff. And it really fit really well with this theme that I had, which was, it's really cliche to say you don't realize what you have and everything else, but what you realize is that there are people and these people are incredible, the people that put this event on. Their positive outlook on life is just absolutely amazing. And so it just really reminded me that, you can take situations that could end up, taking you really down into a negative place and really turn it into something positive. And it ended up being such a positive experience for us. It was really amazing. So, they hold events around the country. So I don't know if you guys have an opportunity to ever attend one, it really, really is an amazing event. But it really, I felt that it fit really well into this idea of the No Complaint Challenge. So what's the vision of this, a complaintfreeworld.org? Essentially, what they've done is they've started this sort of groundswell with these bracelets. And actually, I think they're actually running way behind in terms of requesting, and I'll talk about that later, requesting these bracelets. But effectively, their vision is that they want to see a day when people focus and speak about what they desire things to be rather than complaining about how things are. So it seems like kind of a weird thing that a pastor would get involved with this, but really if you think about it from a perspective of making the world a more positive place, their view is if they can end up handing out 60 million of these bracelets and get people to actually use them and wear them, then that's 1% of the world population. And his thought is, well, on any given day, you come across 10, 20, 50, 100 people, and if people ask you about it or you tell them about it, over time, you really create this ripple effect where you create a better world. And I think the vision, the much grander vision of changing the world, that's phenomenal, and they've taken it on. My mission is to have that impact inside the company, right? So for us, what it means is, as managers, is really being conscious of what we say, how we say it, whether we are presenting solutions or are we just stating a problem, and the impact that has on the people around us, on ourselves and the people around us, relative to being able to deal with the problems. So, as I sort of started to look at this, and I thought, God, this is just a fascinating thing that people know about this. And as I started talking to people and asking people about it, I'm shocked how many people actually do know about it. And so this is something that they started, I think, 7 or 8 years ago, and it really started out as, just something that he did for his congregation, and it has spread throughout the country and throughout the world. So I really encourage you guys to think about this in a very proactive way. We deal with a lot of issues, a lot of stress. It's really super easy to get into this situation where we're complaining to each other and not realizing the impact it has on us. So this idea of positive thinking, it's something that, there's a lot of people that write about it, a lot of people that self-help books and things like that. So I just found some slides that I thought was interesting, kind of tips. Obviously surrounding ourselves with people that are positive, and that starts, with people at home, starts with friends, and really the coworkers, and helping to make our surroundings more positive and helping to motivate people. That's obviously, that's a choice. That goes back to what Covey was saying about our choice over our control. So you read the bottom part, choosing to exercise your positive energy to defeat negative with laughter, satisfaction, fulfillment, and contentment. The choice is yours to make your day an absolute best. So, okay, I would put this in the mission, probably, or in the too hokey or too sort of too cliche, but the idea is still the same. The idea is, you know what, if you catch yourself being taken down by some of these thoughts and emotions, it's very much within our control to do this. And I think, that's something that we all know from experience, but it does need to be proactive. Gratitude, that to me, and that was really part of the reason I wanted to do this as the last call of the year. Gratitude is a big part of it, right? And I said, I don't know if anyone, or I don't know how many people read my Yammer post for Thanksgiving, but truly one of the things I said that I truly believe, I used to think all the time, God, how things can be better, right? Things can be better. And so that was kind of part of it, what drove me, that things can be better. What I've really, over the last few years, have started to realize is, things can be worse. So, and that has really allowed me to deal with situations in a much more positive way, because things can always be worse. And, and that makes me really thankful for where I'm at, where we're at, and the issues, when issues come up, I can deal with them in a more positive way. I will say, I will give everyone permission, if they catch me complaining, to actually play complaint cop. I'm totally fine with that, because I'm not saying that I've got this thing totally under control. Start your day by envisioning success. One of the things, the nice things about today, when you wake up, it truly is, it's a new day, right? I mean, the sun's come up, it's a new day. And I tend to, sometimes I wake up, a lot of times I wake up when the sun hasn't come up yet, but I immediately, the thoughts that come into my mind are operational issues we're dealing with, and things that, for the most part, challenges that we're dealing with. What I do when that happens is I very proactively, and literally when I wake up, just close my eyes and very proactively start to focus on positive things. Proactively start to think about the things that we're doing that are right, and try to push all the challenges that I know I'm going to have to deal with later in the day anyway, but try to push those out of my mind. And it really works. I'm not, some super spiritual person or anything else. I've never formally studied this stuff. I don't meditate, although I kind of try to have my quiet time when I'm focusing on my breathing and all that, so that those things do help. But really envisioning what we're doing right really does work, as opposed to immediately allowing our mind to go into the problems that we're having. Persistence. So, we're dealing with hard challenges, and really you just got to be persistent, right? We got to be brave enough to understand that we can actually control our destiny and control things, and we've got to be persistent in how we do it and how we attack the problems. I mean, as I just look around this room, I mean, there's so many complex issues. I mean, with the logistics part of our business, it is so complex, right? To try to get an efficient model together so that Vancouver and Portland are working cooperatively and really creating the best client service at the most efficient sort of structure. You guys are going to have to be persistent, right? You're going to try things, they're going to fail, but we're going to do it with a plan. But you're going to have to be persistent in dealing with these challenges. Again, the persistence, if you think of yourself and really proactively be persistent, that's just a positive thought that you're not giving up, that you're going to continue to press forward. Be a leader. So really this is understanding our impact on the rest of the team, right? It's understanding, and again, I will raise my hand. I know there are times where I I talk to negatively about something that's going on. And these are all areas that I myself struggle with, and making sure that I understand or I'm cognizant of the impact of my statements or my actions or just the way I come across on the team. So this is really critical, because people, especially the younger people in the organization, they're going to take their cues off of the senior people in the organization. And I can tell you, I have seen changes in the various organizations when we focus on progress and we focus on client service, where we proactively take a much more positive view towards our clients, and we don't allow ourselves to complain about our clients, especially in front of or complain about situations, because when you do, then you're essentially saying a cue that that's okay to do for everyone else. And I've seen it when I go into organizations. I see how the organization acts when the leadership allows certain bad behaviors to exist. Then that just continues to permeate throughout the organization. And then the last thing is goal setting. So this is really appropriate to what we're doing today, which is the strategic planning, or currently. I've talked a lot about strategic planning, about the action plans, about the project plans, and what all of this stuff is about. It's about giving ourselves a roadmap on where we want to go. Because once you know where you want to go through this kind of a goal setting, what it does is it gives you the power. It gives you a sense of empowerment and a positive sense that you're going to be able to tackle certain things. At least you know where you want to go. I do this in my own personal life. I literally have a 3-slide PowerPoint presentation that I create and I update, and I do it around this time of the year. It starts with a vision for myself 3 years out. So I say, okay, where do you want to be? And it's not just financial. It's not just, it's about every aspect of my life 3 years out. So that's setting that vision for myself. And, there's no point in going further than that for me, because I can only sort of look out, a couple of years. So I set that, and then I've got very specific goals behind it. So it's essentially a personal strategic planning process. So I set the objectives out there 3 years out, and then I have by quarter, literally I've got Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 for the year, what I want to accomplish that's going to move my life closer to that 3-year vision. And it's a rolling document. As things happen throughout the year, I may add objectives to it, but it's something that I keep throughout the year, and then I do it again the following year. So I think these are all things that I think if I can encourage everyone to do these things in their personal life, it'll have a positive impact on your personal life, and then I think it'll allow you to sort of take that and pass it on to other people in the organization. The strategic planning process, which is incredibly difficult, complicated this year, a lot of us are struggling with it. We're going to miss our goals, because my goal was that we would have it done by Monday. We're not even going to be close to doing that, which means that we're going to have to put some work in over the course of the next couple of weeks to have our plan in place by the end of the year. But that's an example of it. It's the process itself, the process of going through what it is we want to be next year, and how do we want to get there is a big part of that entire process. It's thinking through all of those issues, because ultimately it'll give us that empowerment, that sense of power that we know where we're going, as opposed to sort of blindly going into next year and not knowing what to do. So last thing, for my idea for my holiday gift to any of you guys, this is actually my bracelet. So you can see it's getting worn out from getting switched from wrist to wrist, and getting stretched out. I will be happy to order 500 of these. I'm not challenging you guys to do it just to satisfy me, but if you guys are interested, I'll work with HR. We're going to order a whole bunch of these, and I really would encourage you guys to think about it. You don't have to have a bracelet. It could be a rubber band. It could be something. The key thing for me is having the bracelet on my wrist is a constant reminder, right? So it's not necessarily the fact that there's, I want people to see it. It's the fact that it's a reminder for me to do that when those thoughts come to my mind. So with that, I don't know if there's going to be any questions to any of this. Like I said, I wanted to make it short today, so that because I know we've got a lot of stuff going on, especially with the planning and everything. Any questions, thoughts, comments from anyone? Peter, I know your Chinese wisdom. There must be some things. Is there any proverbs that you want to? Chinese proverbs that come to mind?
It was supposed.
Huh?
Yeah, I mentioned some of these, the positive things on my post.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. So that's the whole idea, is to get people, getting into Yama, looking into it, and participating in it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys see Peter Ng's. I recommend that you guys all follow Peter Ng and on Yammer and see his posts, because they really are, they're great. And so I think that his little drops of wisdom are really, I find them very helpful. Anything else from anyone? Yes.
I would second the second tips regarding being contented with life, because throughout life more what you have sometimes is less than what other people have, and you're more fortunate than other people have. So being contented with your life, you'll be happy coming to work. So if you're happy coming to work, you'll perform better. So I like the tips number 2.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Merry Christmas, everybody. All right, yeah. Happy holidays. All right, guys. Very much. I appreciate the time. I focus, and a lot of work to do over the next couple of weeks, especially with the managers that are involved with the strategic planning. But I really do wish everyone happy holidays, and we got to get this thing behind us and then hit the ground running next year. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.